everybody. Welcome to another question and answer. We're closed. We're here in Massachusetts. We haven't been open for, I think a couple of weeks now. But I just wanted to continue the live question and answers as long as possible. And I wanted to also start today a little differently with a little prayer for our first responders. And being from a family of first responders, that includes nurses, fire, police, and military. I just want to just say, Dear Father, in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, Dear Father, please protect these first responders, and hopefully that you'll be there with them as they do their duties and keep them safe. Amen. So let's get started on this sofa. I had a gigantuan sofa. It's actually a sectional. So you only see one piece here. The other piece is up on its end over here, and they butt in this way. And there's a total of 13 cushions. This is a huge job. 13 cushions, and I wanted to start with the seat and the deck, but I wanted to catch you guys up on what I've done so far. And so what I've done so far is I've stripped it down to as much as I want to strip it down to. I've got the outsides off, the outside arms, the outside back off, and I just took the seat off. I added a little bit of padding on the front. I wanted to show you one thing over here that's a little different. So these two come into one another, right? So this is a hard edge right here, and then it comes into a soft edge, okay? Because that's technically it's part of the other sofa. So you want that soft. If you sit down on the corner or here, you want that area soft. So I thought that was interesting. So let me just show you. See how soft that is? And this is the hard edge. So that's a little different. There's a lot of different things on this that you may not have seen. So that's why I thought it was a good thing to show today. So the other thing is, usually you've seen me with my seat and my deck, I sew the seam down to the burlap that's there. This one doesn't have burlap. It's a newer way of doing it, and they have a flange. I just want to show you that. I'm going to try to put this on while I'm working. And as usual, if you guys have any questions or comments, please feel free. I'd like to know how everybody's doing. If our regular people are watching, I'd like to know, especially out in Washington State, I'd like to know how you're doing. So please respond or please comment if you want. So let's get started. So we have three components to this seat, and this is the seat, the deck, and then something you may not have seen is this little flange, okay? So that flange, the reason that flange is there is because I don't have the burlap. I only have a piece of Dacron in there, so I don't want to sew it. It'd be impossible almost to sew. So this flange is going to be used pretty much to staple into underneath here, into the wood. Over in here, I'm going to make a cut. Might as well make that cut now to show you this. I'll make this cut now, because that's just going to slide underneath this portion, and I should have enough tension that that's going to be okay, and you'll see that in a minute. So I just wanted to show you that. What I'm going to do now is get this prepped up. I'm going to lift up, pull this down here. I'm going to try to put the flange in as much as I can to where the wood part is before I do something that's going to make it a lot easier. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut each side here so that I can really pull it tight and staple it down before I do anything on the inside here. Okay? So I'm going to put my back to you just for a minute. Yeah, this is just going to be cut. It's cut in about 2 inches, and then that piece is going to come through here, and I'm going to staple that down in a minute. And I go to the other side, do the same thing. Pull that through. That's pretty good. Now I'm going to try to staple both ends and get it as tight as possible. Yeah, I'm very close there. Tell you, this is so big it hardly fits in my shop, and I am gonna excuse myself for 1 second. I have to go downstairs and turn the compressor on. Great. Put something on. Fill in somehow. I'm back, sorry. So, I could have tacked that, or I could have tried, but it's really in an awkward space. The staple gun's much easier. So, as you can see, we're just a little unorganized. You can imagine why. Staple this. Go on the other side and give that a good tug. Could fit 8 people in this sectional, by the way. What I'm doing here is just making sure that that flange is underneath the filling there for now. Actually, I can lift this up this way. This will accomplish that a little bit better. I'm folding the seat back. Okay, now I'm going to attempt to staple this down to the piece of wood in there underneath the padding.
There's some comments.
Okay. There's some comments. I'll take the comments.
Pam is saying hello.
Hi,
so
Pam.
Far, so good here in Westboro. We have food for at least 2 weeks.
Great.
Erica says checking in from Ground Zero Seattle.
Yeah.
We're all good, healthy, and I'm from Scratch Cook among other things, so I've got enough food to feed an army.
Oh, good for you. That's great. It's nice to hear from you.
She also says making too many cookies.
Yeah.
And still struggling to do the distance learning in French. My kids, though, they need to go back to school soon before my accent taints all they've learned. Pam also says I've been baking breads. English muffin bread, French bread, whole wheat sandwich bread. Glad I have yeast and flour.
That's great.
Erica says groceries are finally fine here. Been able to get everything I need, including toilet paper.
Oh, good for you, because we're not the same here.
Everyone is doing delivery.
Great.
Pam says schools here have announced they will be closed another month at least. And Erica says we've been told we may not even go back at all this year.
Wow. Wow. Definitely historic, you guys, and thank you for checking in. I really appreciate that. So here, we're still having trouble finding a few things like wipes, and also toilet paper. Paper towels seem to be coming back, so it's just that the supply chain, because some people took too many that they should have, and the supply chain got interrupted. I don't think this is a supply problem at all, as you guys probably know, but so thanks for checking in. Is there anybody else that checked in?
Nope, that's it for now.
Okay.
Well, speaking of Pam, we have her submission. We're going to show that off.
Oh yeah, Pam submitted some beautiful, wow, I am impressed, Pam, because what I'm looking at is, did you create, well, let's read it. Oh, this is cool. This is really cool. You did a good job on this tufted coffee table. I love it. I'll hold this up to the camera in a minute, but it says, Pam says, I do a variety of furniture refinishing and decided to make a French-style tufted cushion to give this freshly painted coffee table the versatility to be used as an ottoman. And this is absolutely awesome. Awesome ottoman. You can see the stitching that she did. I'm curious, Pam, if you're still there, to tell us what you use for filling on this. I'm really curious. But this is a beautiful job and such a unique treatment, isn't it? Now, this is the side. Over here is the top. She's got, let me see if she used a tuck or a button. I think she used a tuck, which is traditional French. That's not, she doesn't have a button, I don't think. She could confirm that for me too. I can't see it too well. And then she refinished the table. And then she takes the, this is cool, because that's a loose cushion what you're looking at there, you guys. So she can use it as just a coffee table. She takes the cushion off or use it as an ottoman or somewhere, an extra seating maybe too. So that's cool. Wow. You are talented, Pam. Let's go on to some of these. I guess we're just going to sit down for a second and catch up on some of the comments, and then I'll go back to this. That was Pam. Okay, then we got some YouTube comments, I believe.
I want to take one of those out. Janine actually checked in with how she was doing.
So Janine says, thanks for asking after me. I'm doing okay so far. Another great video. Thank you.
She's in Australia.
She's in Australia, yeah. Boy, Australia's had their fair share of troubles. And we have some friends that are Australian too, that live in this country. She says, we love Jimmy. Please let him pass his trial. Wait a minute, I gotta get this out of here. She said, I love Jimmy too. He's a great guy. And he makes, you know what, Jimmy is full of a good chair, as one of my friends used to say. And he's, that's C-H-E-E-R, not C-H-A-I-R. But it could be.
Back soon.
But it could be either one, couldn't it? It could be good chair or good share. And Jimmy's a good guy, and Janine, we kind of tease him that he's on a trial period, but Janine says, we love Jimmy, please let him pass his trial period. So he could stay on. Yeah, Jimmy's funny. We had an exchange today. I'm trying to remember what it was. It was funny. He hasn't been coming in because he's been busy and because of the situation. But he'll be back.
He'll be back with a vengeance.
Yeah. So going above that, there's a comment. Great show. And she's referring to how to add webbing to a Danish side chair. So this is from Green Living Interiors. Great show, I really enjoyed it. Just a small correction though, and I don't mind telling you this. I think it's actually a Finnish chair. Wow, okay. Designed by Alto. It's chair number 615. He might be right about that, you're right. Sometimes I just broadly say Danish chair, but it's good to get a correction like that with some really good information. Thank you. So that's, you guys can see it on the YouTube channel. It's called How to Add a Webbing on a Danish Chair. So now we go down to Jan. I must be talking. It says padding dining room chairs, and she says I hate foam, and I do too. I want my sofa and chairs done properly and healthy. Too bad you are not here in Australia. Oh, we got a second person from Australia, Patrick. I wonder if they know one another. Anyhow, Rocky's commenting on how to fill a tea cushion. And it's funny, when I first started in this business, my job was all I did was fill cushions. And it's amazing the art to filling a cushion. And you can even make a somewhat bad sewing job look good if you know how to fill a cushion properly. Or vice versa, if you're not filling a cushion properly and it's a really well done cushion with all the corners lined up and everything, you can make it look bad. So I was a finished person actually in the shop. I started to go to paneled nails, panels on the front of arms. You know, you can imagine the upholsterer, the veteran upholsterer, he's doing a wing chair, for instance, and the last thing to be put on was the front panel with the French nails, and that was the thing that everybody focused on. That was the pro. So they trusted me. I started getting. So I came in a little differently with it like that. They noticed I had a talent for that real detail and the patience, because those are put in one at a time. And you've seen my other videos. We have videos on how to do these French nails. Patrick, do you remember what the title of that was on YouTube?
I don't. That was a while back.
I want to say it's how to do a French panel nail. But I show you how when you're putting the nails in with the hammer. I don't use the rubber tip hammer. I stress that now, and I stress it in the video. And it's funny when you're putting that hammer in this. It's like there's so many different adjustments that you're making as the nail is going in. You're not really hammering it like a regular nail. It's much more gentle than that. And the dome always wants to fall. It's a dome, so when you hit it, it wants to fall off the center. So you're constantly adjusting it. You might want to check it out if you guys are struggling with nail panels. Do not use the strips that they sell, and do not fall for they have a gun out there, I know, that shoots French nails. I don't like it. I still do them one at a time. Call me crazy, but that's what I like. So that's it for this page. Let's go to the next page. And if there's comments, you can interrupt me at any time or questions. So this is we haven't done a Treasures of Upholstery for a while.
Pam did say what she used.
Oh yeah, what did Pam use on that?
3-inch high density foam wrapped in bonded Dacron.
Wow, you know what's interesting about that, Pam, is that looks like you used horsehair. You did a really good job if you can disguise that, and because originally that's what they used to use is the horsehair to get something that really good job. Really, I'm really impressed. Really impressed. So thank you for answering that. So then we have Treasures of Upholstery 1840 Victorian sofa. So sometimes when we have an old piece in here especially an old piece that maybe had never been upholstered, it's kind of fun thinking what could be inside, I mean, I found some interesting things over the years, and I just love a good story. A story's better than any monetary thing that you could find in a sofa. So one time I found 2 Rolex watches and a gold coin from the United Nations. I think it was from 1936, or maybe when it first, whatever year, and you guys can probably correct me, they're probably Googling now, what year was the United Nations? First year the United Nations was made in the United Nations. It was a commemorative coin, a gold coin. It must have been not an ordinary coin, it must have been about this big. And when it came out of the sofa, the noise it made on the ground was like a clanking noise, clank, clank, clank. So it's kind of how you know it's a good, it's either silver or gold. So anyhow, and it was gold. So I immediately put it in an envelope, put the date on it, the time even, and sealed it and put it aside. I finished the job. I brought it back and returned it. So that's fun. I like the stories. So we found some other odd things, and even actually, I think, Patrick, can you remember some of the treasures that we actually did find in some of the work? I think
on the videos, I don't remember.
While live, we were doing it. I think I remembered one.
Some candy.
I remembered one time. Now this is why monetary value, that means nothing sometimes. It's the sentimental reason sometimes we do work. I think most of the times we do single pieces, especially, is for sentimental reasons. I think if I were to take you on the tour downstairs of all the stuff I have, it's grandmother's, grandfather's, great-grandmother's, mother's, chair, and it means something to people. So we were stripping this one piece, and the only thing I found in the whole thing was a bubble gum wrap. I think it was a candy wrapper from. Do you remember what the name of the candy store was, Patrick?
I thought it was a Tootsie Roll. I don't know.
Huh?
I thought it was a Tootsie Roll. I don't know.
No, it was from a candy factory. This is really cool. It was
Are
from
you
a.
sure this is on video?
I'm pretty sure, Patrick. I'm pretty sure it was one of the videos. I'm pretty sure. If it wasn't, if you can't find it, you guys, how many videos, by the way, do we have, Patrick?
130 or something.
130
like that.
or 40 or something. Somebody said recently they watched every one. And that's pretty remarkable because when you think of how many hours that is. Well, if I had to guess, it's like, I'd say it's about 100 hours maybe, or maybe more. 100, let's say 100 hours of viewing. That's really a compliment, I think. So the candy wrapper. So I wasn't much, and I told the customer about it, and I gave it back to the customer, and the customer was so excited. The customer had remembered the candy factory and was telling me about the smells that he used to get. He used to be able to smell the candy being made from where he lived, and how that wrapper meant more to him than those 2 Rolex watches and that gold coin meant to the other person, and that's true. That he got more satisfaction out of that candy wrapper than the person who was wealthy with those other 3 items that I returned. Isn't that interesting? Just goes to show you, you know. We have another comment about treasures of upholstery. So, Patrick, we're going to have to do more of these because we're getting a lot of comments on it.
Yeah, we have five videos ready to post, 4 videos.
Oh, Patrick just informed me he's got 4 YouTube videos ready to post. And I can't remember. Do you know what those were, Patrick, offhand?
I have them right here.
Can you read them out?
Let me see. One of them was repairing springs.
Repairing springs from
Building
the
a slip seat and
what?
then a waterfall skirt. So
Oh.
3.
Yeah, waterfall skirt. What was the middle one? What was the
Building a slip seat.
building a slip seat, which you guys have seen me do before, but they're all different. You know, you'll learn different tips from, even if I did 10 videos on how to do a slip seat, I'm sure you're going to find something that will help you in one of them or all of them. So here we go, another question about treasures of upholstery. And as usual, your questions, comments are important, and they take precedent over anything that I'm doing here. So, K and J, he says, this is the hardest job. I love the results, but tear down usually takes me months. And I'm just an artist who likes a challenge here and there. But I just bought a small Victorian love seat that is so pretty. That is why I am watching you. Best videos ever. Love all the pointers. The real-time video, thanks. Thank you, K and J. If you're watching now and you have questions about that sofa that you have, I think you're watching, this is just the 1840 Victorian sofa, Treasures of Upholstery. I don't think we did an extensive video on that, but I'm sure on our channel you'll see something that would match up to what you're doing. And again, the online classes, you guys, I've said it before, I think the tips...
Which are actually on sale now.
Which are on sale. What are they, 10%, Patrick?
They're $40 now, so yeah, 10%.
10% off sale on the...
20% off.
20%. That's a pretty good deal, you guys, I think. And I think moving forward, we're going to be doing some amazing stuff with the online classes. We think nothing's finalized yet, but I'm going to mention it. You know, we do teach over at the Lexington Arts and Crafts over in Lexington, and we're talking to the people over there, the president of that society. We're talking about perhaps teaming up with him or presenting his own videos at this. And the thing cool about that is that there's so many different trades over there. There are actually guilds over there. And I think Patrick, with his production experience, and Michaela, who does the arts here, who does the creative arts here, I think that between the two of them, they're going to present a great product in the future. We're going to, one way or the other, between the two of us, or if we team up, you guys are going to see an expansion. You've already seen the expansion with the slipcover classes with Bernice. When are those coming up, Patrick, the slipcover classes?
Well, we're waiting. I mean, those might be on hold until all this kind of dies down.
Yeah.
I want to make sure people have the money to do it, and
yeah,
we want to release it now when people don't have the money.
There could be a delay, but remember that always posted. Are they many? There are many. How many?
We already have so much up there.
We have
There's one new one still in the midst of. It's almost done posting, but it's still a new class with Jimmy's arts and crafts chair.
And that's BroadwayUpholstery.com, right, Patrick? I did want to mention the forum. I think we've gotten so much good information from Pam on the upholstery. If we just started the upholstery forum just for Pam's comments, I think it would have been worth it. But we're getting a lot more up there. Is that Pennywise from Canada, Patrick? That
yeah, from Toronto.
From Toronto. We really appreciate his input.
I forget. I think he's from Montreal.
So I wish he would check. I hope he's watching. You could check in. And
I don't think he's here today.
But
anyhow, a little earlier. That's another thing that changed.
Yeah, we apologize for being early, but our schedule's kind of off. We're lucky we got Thursday, I guess. So we're lucky we're on Thursday, try to keep it at least to Thursday in the upcoming weeks. But anyhow, we're glad that people check in, and I lost my train of thought there, but anyhow. So that was that one. I got one more page of comments here. We got, a comment. I love this. A comment from one of the live shows. I always like that. And we find that the live shows, it get a lot more, obviously. People, they're always up there, so people watch that. Sometimes we get like a couple of hundred, Patrick, within a week or so, a couple of hundred people who have watched it, so that's good. And it all contributes to the channel, the YouTube channel, which we'll always be doing, I think. I like that. And I should talk about our subscribers. Patrick, how many subscribers do we have now?
Almost 8,000.
Wow, almost 8,000. That's incredible. So, don't forget, please subscribe when you watch. I'm sure everybody that's watching now has subscribed. But anyhow, K&J, he's commenting on, I don't know what live.
I think that's a woman, I'm not sure.
His question and answer, I don't know what live workshop it is, but maybe we can figure it out with the question she has here. This is funny now. She said, you can teach this all day long, but it's a brave few who can actually do a piece and follow through till the bitter end. And in parentheses, she says, I have done a handful of chairs, wingback, my first, and last of that style. That's a lot of work on a wingback. That's tackling. For a first project, K&J, that was a tough job. Just picked up an adorable settee, and again in parentheses, not looking forward to actually doing it, but just can't wait for the end results. I'm in Michigan, and this COVID-19 crap is getting old. It is getting old everywhere. People are pillaging food and toilet paper off the shelves. I dread grocery shopping always, but now even more. Take care. Hopefully things will be back to normal soon. So, that's the same thing is happening here, but I'm a little bit over 60, not much over 60, so a local supermarket chain has made special hours for people in my age group, and I hadn't taken advantage of it except today. Today I did, and they did have limits on certain items like toilet paper, but only one per customer. And there was some there. Today was the first day in 2.5 weeks, Patrick, that we found toilet paper. So, but there are other substitutes, you guys, for that, right?
You used to go camping back in your days,
Oh, I went camping. I can't wait for the fall, all the leaves,
That's what I say. Erica is such a big fan that she actually remembered the video, which was the Necco wafers.
Oh, the Necco wafers, of course.
She remembered that.
That's great. Some people have photographic memory. I think she's one of them. But Necco wafers, I believe. Now, you guys can. Patrick, will you Google that?
My husband used to love the smell when he was at school there. She could smell it from MIT.
Down it. Do you see that? No, sometimes they say flavor or taste or smells are the one of the big trigger things in a person's childhood. That they say that's like really strong in remembering your childhood. So there's a testimony to it. Thank you so much for that. So then we have another from K&G, and this is the Treasures of Upholstery. Now this was another 18, or maybe the same one. I'm not sure. Victorian sofa. No, this was another one. So K&J says, I love these little stories. If you guys have stories about anything about upholstered furniture, I love to hear it. I love that, because we're going to have another show. We've been talking about it, Patrick, coming up about what's that with Jimmy? We're going to go discover furniture.
Yeah, the furniture hunting.
Furniture hunting, and I think I mentioned about that sofa that went out to sea. Last question is, Jimmy and I were talking about that to recreate that about a sofa that I upholstered, and I talked to you. I know I've told this, how many times I've told this story, but I got a call from a couple in Brookline, an older couple, and they had this sofa that and they needed it upholstered. And they were telling me the story of this sofa. They had a long story about how they had a second home. The major storm comes in along the Cape Cod coast. It takes all of the contents of the house, goes in, the ocean goes in and takes out everything, breaks the windows and takes out everything. and they came down and after the big storm, and they were very upset, but at least, they weren't hurt. So they went for a walk on the beach. This was 3 days after the storm, and they're walking hand in hand. What do they find but the love seat that came out of the house? It had gone out to sea, and it came back and washed up on the shore. So Jimmy and I were talking about that. And I told him when we recreate that, I'm not going to hold his hand. Right, Patrick?
Right. That'll be very weird.
So we'll recreate that somehow. We're thinking about him, Jimmy, on the bow, on the hanging over the love seat, like in that iconic scene from Titanic. And what's that song that's playing, Patrick?
Oh,
in that scene? I got Michaela laughing. I know she knows the song by Celine Dion. Anyhow.
That's disturbing.
So K and J, here's another comment. My dog kept digging into my $10 wingback chair, and the never-ending months of painstakingly deconstructing it, I found a lot of crumbs and food. Now that it's redone, she doesn't dig it anymore. I love your channel. Well, that's cool. If your dog or cat is digging in a particular area, it could mean that there's something inside the chair, right? In this case, there were crumbs, and that's great. That was the chair that he had just previously told me that he or she, I'm sorry we don't know, had upholstered. So actually, that's cool. Is that it for questions, Pat, or comments for the last time? Okay. Anything else on the forum?
I think that's it. Jimmy said, "Nice job."
Oh, is Jimmy here?
No, I mean for the forum, he responded to one of the posts.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Jimmy's a good sport. He's always on there, I think, Patrick. I think he's, and Pam, and a few other people. I think we heard from Pennywise posted a lot of good pictures on there too, didn't he?
Yeah, he posted a lot.
Can you get that up right away, the forum, Patrick?
We featured it when he first posted it. It's kind of tough to get up now.
Oh, okay. I was just curious. Actually, do I have any more pictures to show people here? No. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my sofa. If you guys have any questions about how I'm doing this, by the way, this thing is a lot of work. When you're talking about 13 cushions, and these are big cushions, right? You're talking about, for me, to cut the cushion out, to sew the cushion, and then to fill the cushion, which includes taking the filling out of the old cushion. There's nothing wrong with the filling, so we have to take it out of the old cushion, and then fill the cushion. The super speed for I've been doing this forever would be an hour and maybe an hour and 15 minutes each cushion. So we have another comment actually.
Oh, there's a question. This is from Erica. She says, I am about to strip that long sofa I recently paid a custom video for. What pieces do I need to save for future patterns?
Well, I can tell you that you don't have to save the outsides. And what I want you to do is exactly what I've done here on this sofa. So what you're going to start with before, and I'll catch up with you, and I hope that you're patient with me because that sofa is coming. It's in a storage locker right now.
You keep saying that.
I know, I keep saying that, but I don't think this is a good sofa for the custom
now,
video.
who knows when the fabric's gonna come, right?
Well, we might have to improvise something too. I don't think this is a good one because she's got some arms that need special attention, and I'm waiting for it. It's not going to be that sofa. It's going to be another one. But anyhow, so Erica, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be taking the outside arms off and the outside back. You don't have to save it. You don't have to save the patterns unless you want to. If you want to save it, just put them aside. That's fine. A lot of people like to do that. It just reassures them. But just keep in mind that you can't really use that as a pattern for your other ones because that's cut down to size. That's the problem with so-called patterns, is because the upholsterer extends 3 inches larger, right, on the outsides and the insides. That's 1.5 inches on each side. So when the upholsterer put those old patterns that on the last time, he or she trimmed it down. So what you're actually getting is not a good representation. You're not getting a good pattern. But you could take the outsides, the outside and the outside back, the outside arms and the outside back off completely. You could put them aside. Take the padding, put that aside. Try to be as careful with the padding as you can. Put that aside. We'll talk about that later. And then you can loosen up all of your covers but don't take anything else off. You can loosen them, meaning taking all the staples and tacks off, and even put pin tacks back just to hold it in place. And then what you want to do on the inside, you're going to reach in and take, you're going to take the two pieces that are coming through the outside arms and the outside back, which would be your inside arms and your deck of the seat. You're going to loosen that. And then you're going to take the inside arms and inside back and pin tack them up to the top rail. Okay, this is going to give you plenty of work, Erica, right? And then once you do that, you're going to be able to get it, you're going to be able to take the seat and the deck off to get to where I am now, right? But yours is probably not going to have a flange like this. I can almost guarantee that you don't have a flange, that yours is going to be just the seat and the deck, and then you're going to sew that down into the burlap. So you need to create, or what's going to be lit, if you take the old stuff off, you'll see there's actually a gap in between there where you can sew. So I'm not sure if you have your fabric yet, but that gives you plenty of work. And actually, we can take you through, maybe with the next question and answer too, we could take you through a little bit further on that, but we'll see. I'd rather have you do what, obviously the custom video is going to be better for you. So
Erica says this is for the mid-century modern one,
oh,
not French
okay.
one.
So the mid-century modern, you may have to have a flange put on it. So I'm glad I'm doing this for you. So because on mid-century furniture they've used zigzag springs, and they've used sometimes a felt over the zigzag springs. You're not going to be able to stitch into the felt, so you may have to flange it like I did here. So let's keep going, especially since Erica it's so timely for Erica. So I've tacked both ends down. Now Erica, you're not going to have this little bit of a problem that I have, okay? But because I have no wood in here to staple to. I have wood starts here and over. So I'm going to reach in there with my gun, and I'm going to staple that down. So I have too much flange. I'm just going to trim the flange up now that I've got it stapled. Rid of that, and then I'm going to just kind of work my filling back in. Okay, now on this one here, I've got a cut here, my flange. All I'm going to do is simply, I'm going to just tuck my flange underneath the foam. Make sure that it's where I want it. Okay, I'm going to take my deck. I'm just going to, just for now, tighten my deck up by just tucking it underneath like so. Okay. So, if you're not sure about when you're upholstering, and you know, a lot of times people who are apprentices and even journeymen, I suggest that you pin tack if you're not sure. You know, sometimes it depends on your skill level. I'm gonna just attempt to staple this down, except the middle staple. I'm gonna try to staple this down the first go around. But for people, you know, you should see my technique about pin tacking or pin stapling. With the exception of the first one for me right now, and I'll explain that in a minute. I'm going to pull this down, and I'm going to turn my gun a little bit and just get a pin staple in there, because that means I need to take that out, right? Because that's the only one that's probably going to have a little pull in it after I'm done. But for the rest of you, you know, if you guys aren't, for the next part, if you're not sure yourself, you can keep pin stapling or pin tacking. You know, when you pin tack, you want to use a 6-ounce tack. And the nice thing about that is if you make a mistake, they come out easy. If I make a mistake with the staple all the way in with 80 pounds of pressure behind it and it's a 1/2 inch staple, you know, that's kind of a hassle. It's like I'm stripping the furniture again. So, but I'm a little confident in what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do, but I want to show you how to do it if you want to try this by the first go around. And if you notice, you know, I have what I would like is about 1.5 inches right here. If you have too much here, it's kind of hard to, you can do it, but you really need to up your skill level a little bit to do it. But because you're near the edge here, it's going to be easier to stretch. I'll show you. I'm going to come all the way down. I'm not going to come all the way to the end. I'm going to stop right about here, okay? About 3 inches from the end. And I'm going to pull it. Look at this pull. Now, a lot of times it's the fabric that allows you to do this. If you had a stripe, if I had a stripe or a plaid, I would probably be pin tacking this. But look at how nice this is going to be at the first go around. See, I'm stretching it now. I'm stretching it down this way to the floor, and I'm stretching it to the left. And I'm going to get a staple. I'm going to get 2 staples, one near the front and one near the back. So the one near the back actually keeps it tight. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from that middle pin staple all the way out to here, and I'm going to staple it. So, but watch what I do. Watch what I don't do. I'm not going to grab it like this and pull it. What you want to try to do is pull as much as you can, kind of smooth it down, and then staple. In there. Watch this. You're going to hold it tight. Don't go like this because you're going to create pull marks. And I'm going to pull it down. I got a nice smooth edge here. Another challenge I had with this has to be tight in order for that other sofa to butt in down here. So keep that in mind. You know, and usually, I'll be honest, that's how I do all my seats, no matter what it is, from a Victorian love seat, 1840, to this piece, which is like 1980, and everything in between, including mid-century furniture. Well, my seats are tight like this on the front. They're profile. That's called profiling, right on the front. You don't want bulbous, you know, you don't want too much to come out here. It doesn't look good. It's very hard to contain and to make that look good too, by the way. So I'm going to keep going here. Ran out of staples, or we've had a couple of snafus today. That's not a major one. So another technique too is what I want to show you is I'm pulling down. See what I do with my thumb there? I'm coming down here like this, and then I take my thumb around. See that? Another technique. So what I'm going to do is stop there because I have to make another cut over here. I'm going to lift. I didn't finish stripping this, so I'm just going to take this. This is going to come up. But here's what I do. I don't strip this until this is done. I don't strip anything else until this is done. But I do have to undo a little bit here in order to get underneath here. Right now. I'm using a pair of pliers because I can't find my side cutters right now, so I'm just going to tear that up. Okay. So now, before I make this cut, this is very important, guys, all right? Before I make this cut, if you cut this now, you go to pull this and your cut's not where it's supposed to be. So I'm going to finish just a little bit more of a stretch here towards the end. You see that? See that action right there, you guys? And then staple. Now I have this where I want it, so I'm going to stand up and make that cut. So I made the cut to the back, to the right side of the post. Now I'm going to cut to the left side. Okay, and I want to move some of this. I can even cut away some of this filling right now. I mean this fabric. And this cut, it's a very small cut, angle cut from the sofa, from the interior of the sofa, and it's about a 1 inch cut, which is enough to bring it around. Look at that. I love this fabric. So you never know how a fabric's going to work until you start upholstering, right? Hear that down a little bit. So I'm going to give this a pull. I have a panel that comes on. Let me show you the panel, you guys. So the panel, I'm just going to square that up to make sure I know where my staples need to be, right? So I'm glad I checked. So my staples have to be fairly over into about right here. So that's why I checked. Okay, so I'm going to pull it down now and put a staple there, and then I'm going to come up. I'm going to staple up, and then just a little over to the side, and that's it. See, I got a little pucker there that I don't like. I'm going to go in and make another small little cut. You know what? I don't think I need to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a staple in. So now I want to show you what happens. What happens here is that this fabric, which I just cut off, gets pleated over that. Okay, so here's what you don't want to do, you guys. I notice a lot of my students want to do this. They want to put a pleat here and a pleat here. Don't do that, because then you have 4 layers of fabric that won't. That's called a bad transition. Okay, these are transition points are really important in upholstery, because what you're trying to do is streamline it, right? So here, all you want is a pleat to go over a raw fabric. This is raw, no pleat. So you just have 1 pleat. You got 3 layers of fabric instead of 4. It makes a big difference, you guys. Do we have another question?
No question.
Okay.
For a follow-up from Erica.
A follow-up from Erica.
She says, thanks. Yes, that long sofa I have had this exact front profile like you have.
Good.
It needs to be tight because it's a sleek, low profile piece.
Very good. Thank you for that follow-up, Erica. Okay, so now, can you see this here, you guys? I got another, I'm ready to make this cut around my leg here. Okay, so if you've seen my other videos, you know there are 3 ways you could cut this. 2 are right and 2 are wrong and 1 is right. Okay, this is wrong. This is wrong. A lot of people want to go straight up. The right cut is from the leg, and why is that the right cut? I'll show you in a minute. So I'm going to cut, and this is a very, very, very fine cut. It's right to this. Let me just feel this way. It's right to this opening right here. Okay, and the reason you want to cut at an angle like that is so that you get a pleat here and a pleat there. Look, did you see that? And why is that important? Because it closes up that raw cut. Okay, so I'm going to actually get down on my knees in order to look at this a little bit, just a little bit above eye level. I'm too high up. Okay, somebody said, what does it take to be a good upholsterer? You better have a good set of knees, because oftentimes I find myself in the finished work, I'm down like this. I mean, I can't move the sofa to get a better view of this. I have to actually move myself. So I'm looking again now. I see that my cut needs to be just a teeny bit more because I couldn't see it from up above. I'm going to trim this way. My trusty staple gun here. And I'm going to get a pleat. And I have just enough wood underneath there to staple up, because the customer, we're not going to put any piping on the bottom. Okay, so we need to finish this really nicely. So I'm going to stretch it tight. I'm going to get that staple. I'm going to get another staple this way. And then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to pull my pleat, my little pleat. Not much fabric. That's good. Then I'm going to get maybe another staple or 2 angled like this. Look at that, you guys. I got to tell you now, the problem is sofa presented. You've seen. Oh, but one of the things, the online classes has this problem in it. So, but it was Jimmy's ottoman. If you guys want to see how to overcome a problem like this, and the problem here is that the manufacturers, what they did with this leg is impossible to take off. I would love to have taken it off and then worked my fabric underneath and then put the leg back on. But what they've done is, whatever epoxy they used, it's impossible to get it off. I'd break the leg getting it off. So I have to be careful. You can see some of the old fabric in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my regulator and just kind of tuck it underneath. But when you're looking at it from there, this is just perfect. It's fine. So it's better than taking the leg off and ruining the leg, I can tell you that. But on Jimmy's ottoman, on the online classes, we show you he had a bigger problem with his, and you can see it. But we overcame that. We used a trick to overcome that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go down to the more challenging side now, down this end. Why is it challenging? Because that's the soft seat. That's the soft end of the seat. This is a really unusual piece, right? Because it's a section. I'm going to come down here. think what I'm going to do though, before I do that, I'm going to go all the way, usually I'd go all the way down, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to where the wood stops right here. You understand? And I'm going to stretch that this way. Two-way stretch actually. So stretch this way, and so stretch this way. And then from the middle out, from that pin tack that I got in there, pin staple, right here. Okay? I'm just going to use my other technique, which is just kind of smoothing the fabric over. Either way, you're grabbing large pieces of many threads instead of just a concentrated thread area, which creates the pull mark, right? I'm looking at this, right, and I see, believe it or not, the pin staple is fine. There's no pull mark there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tap that in with the head of my gun and I'm done. How about that, huh? Sometimes makes up for all the other ones that aren't so easy. So what I'm going to do now is come over here, and I really need to get back in here and pull this a little tighter. I'm going to pull this just a little tighter. I'll get back in there, get my pliers. Staple gun. Make another cut in there to try to get a better pull on that. Okay. This is hard to get into. I'm over here trying to get inside the sofa. It's like upholstering a building, for crying out loud. The cat could get lost for a week inside this sofa. Okay, I'm going to pull this back. I'm just going to work my filling back just a little bit. I need to make this cut. I need to lift this up. I'm going to take this. I'm going to cut this. This needs a real good pull this way. Watch this. Pull tight right to this area. I want to keep this pulled. So the idea here is to try to get this to look like the hot edge, which is not as easy as it seems. Okay, I can't believe that how much time's gone by here, you guys. But I'm going to finish this up. Get a few more staples down here. Oh, I I have a problem area here too, which is this is the connector. This is the arm that connects the two. So I have to make a cut here into the middle of that arm and a little cut off to each side. And then a little pull. Well, there we go. That's just about it. I just have to pull the fabric, the deck back to get that just to lay down a little bit more, but then I'm done. But that's a little bit of work. I'm happy with the results of that. So unless there are any more questions, I think that we're going to sign off. So thanks for tuning in, you guys, and we'll see you next time.